Hi friends, it's Aubrey. This is part 2 of my freezer or kitchen clean out meals that I did before we went on our family vacation. If you missed part 1, I'll leave it here for you. Definitely give that one a view. And today we'll be showing you the other meals, snacks, and other items that we made using things that we had in our fridge, freezer, and pantry. That way we could use up those items and not waste anything in preparation for our vacation. So let's get cooking. We're making beef stroganoff because we have some sour cream and whipping cream that need to get used and some milk before we go out of town. So here are the ingredients. Let's get cooking. We're gonna add our egg noodles in to a pot of boiling water. Stir them up with my favorite dinosaur ladle, and we'll set the timer on these for about 8 minutes. Some butter in my pan over here. I just turned the heat on, so we're gonna get this melting. We're gonna dump in our onion and let this brown. If your ground beef isn't cooked, I would recommend cooking your ground beef or steak first and then moving on and deglazing the pan, adding in the butter and then the onion. And I put in some salt and some pepper. Now I'm going to add in some garlic. The recipe says 1 teaspoon. We're just going to kind of eyeball that, get that cooking. I'll be sure to link the recipe down below for you guys. Now we're going to add in 1 cup of beef broth and 3/4 cup of heavy cream. I had heavy cream and whole milk mixed together, which should work just fine. We'll get this stirred together. Forgot to put the flour in with the butter. Hopefully it'll still thicken up me adding it in now. Make sure when you make this recipe that you put it in with the onions and the garlic before adding in the liquid. I have a 1/4 cup of cream cheese. I mixed in some of the hot liquid so this doesn't split when I put it in. Go ahead and scrape that into. I ended up using a cornstarch and milk slurry and then put that into the sauce mixture. Once that was thick, I added in my ground beef. I gave that a good stir and then I added in a 1/2 teaspoon of Dijon mustard and 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. I added in a little bit more salt and pepper once this was mixed together. And you can definitely do this by your taste preference. I'll be sure to have this recipe linked down below for you, so if you want to follow their measurements, you can. And after this was stirred together, I went ahead and added my noodles. Too many noodles. Yeah. Too many noodles. Yeah. I gave this one last good stir. And it came out so good. This is one of our favorite beef stroganoff recipes and we make it all the time. I'll be sure to have it down below for you like I said earlier. And with this meal we had a few other random things as sides that we had in the house. We had some hamburger buns that needed to get used. We had some fruit, so I made a fruit salad. And then of course we had some broccoli. Here is what my plate looked like. It was so tasty. Now we're going to make some Instant Pot pinto beans for some upcoming recipes or to just have it in the freezer. You'll need 1 small onion, 1 teaspoon of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of cumin, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. You can do more or less to your taste though. And then a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. I just kind of eyeballed this and you can also do this to your taste. Next you'll need 4 cloves of garlic. And I just use the kind that comes in the jar because it's easier. And then you're going to add in 2 cups or 1 pound of dry pinto beans and then 5 cups of water. Give that a nice stir and then put your lid on your Instant Pot. Make sure your knob is set to sealing and then you'll cook this on manual or high pressure for 30 minutes. I recommend this naturally releasing for about 10 to 15 minutes and then removing the rest of the steam and pressure before taking off your lid. These pinto beans turned out perfect. They weren't crunchy, they're fully cooked and just slightly mushy. So tasty, and they froze really well. You'll see that I'm putting them in some freezer containers here, and then we'll use them in future recipes. I was asked by my church to provide 3 or so dozen cookies for our upcoming fall party, and we had some marshmallows, and I had my favorite chocolate chip recipe ingredients, so I decided to make a chocolate chip cookies with marshmallows. You'll need 1 cup of softened butter. I'm going to put that into my KitchenAid. Then we'll add in 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of brown sugar, 2 large eggs, and cream that together. After the butter, sugar, and eggs are well combined, you'll want to scrape down the sides and your batter off the beater. That way you can get a good mix when you start adding in the dry ingredients. We'll add in 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla, 3 cups of all-purpose flour. I like to add my flour in either a half cup or a full cup at a time and then have it mixing while I'm adding the flour in. Next, we will add in about 1 1/4 cup of chocolate chips and 3/4 cups of marshmallows. We'll give that another quick stir, and then look at this cookie dough. It was really good raw. I know they don't recommend you doing that, but it was so tasty. Let's get this all balled up and onto our cookie sheet. Don't forget to spray your pan, otherwise you will have a nightmare of a time trying to get the marshmallows off of your pan. So there we go, we're popping them in the oven at 375 for about 10 minutes, and here are the cookies. They were super good, and I'll be making them again. Here are a few days where we did some leftovers from previous meals, and then we also had pizza because it was a stressful day, and a Costco pizza sounded the best and was the fastest thing that we could make. For this night's dinner, we had tacos because we had some lettuce, the pinto beans I made earlier in this video, some cheese, and tortillas that all needed to get used. We also had some pre-cooked and seasoned taco seasoned ground beef in the freezer, so I pulled one of those out. And then we also had some corn that we could use up, as well as some taco sauces. So we combined all of that together and made some tacos, and then for my daughter, she just had a quesadilla with the other ingredients on the side. Here is what my pantry looks like right before we go on our trip. There are a few holes in some things, like we're out of our potatoes. We used some of the beans that were in this container. We do still have quite a bit of pantry staple stuff that we can use when we get back, but let's check out the freezer. We have a lot of stuff in here. Guys, you know how it is. I buy a lot of things and I freeze a lot of things. So it's pretty full, but that'll make it pretty easy for us when we get back. The fridge is pretty bare though. We used up almost everything in here, and then the few things that are in here that we haven't used we'll either take with us on our trip or we'll put them in the freezer to use when we get home. That's all I have for you guys today. If you did enjoy, give this video a like and go ahead and leave a comment down below of some of those pantry staple meals that you guys make. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye!